Deployment groups is something that we have not discussed ever in our course, but we saw there is something called as a shared deployment group in our previous section of this course. But as you can see, the deployment groups are a logical set of deployment target machines that have agent installed on each one. So deployment groups represent a physical environment, for example, dev, test, or UAT, or production. In effect, the deployment group is just another grouping of agent, much like an agent pool, but just that, as I told you before, there are two agents need to be installed while working with the deployment. One is the build agent and the next one is the release agent. So if you come all the way down here somewhere, you can see there is something called as every target machine in the deployment group requires a build and a release agent to be installed in your machine, which means you need to have those two agents running. And I already know that in my machine I have the agent, the build agent, which is running, but I don't really have a deployment group installed. And again, as I said, the deployment groups are going to be something like a logical set of deployment target machines. It can be your machine or it can be a machine which is there in the remote environment, and you can even fuse that machine within together to have them all running and get the job done for you. So basically, because we are running everything in a pipeline, we can fuse all of them together to have a single concrete job to be done. So as that said, this is the deployment group. I'm not going to be really going deep into the theoretical part of the deployment group. Rather, we'll start to create a deployment group and see how things work. So as that said, for doing it, I'm just going to do a new tab. I'm going to open that. And here within this particular deployment group, I'm going to be creating a new deployment group. So the deployment group which I'm creating this time is going to be the Udemy deployment group, and this group is responsible for executing our tests. And you can see once I create this, it's gonna give me a lot of lines of code for a PowerShell script. So I'm gonna use my personal access token as well in that particular script. I'm just gonna copy this, and you can see that the target machine is Windows and Linux. They don't really support the Mac yet, so you need to have Windows or Linux machine to achieve this. It's not like Agent, which actually have a Mac support as well. You can see it only has Windows and Linux for now. So I'm just going to copy the script, and I'm going to open the PowerShell, and I'm going to run that in the administrator mode. There you go. And I'm going to run this whole script right now. So basically what this script is doing is it's going to be fetching the agent for us, and it's going to be copying that agent into a directory called as AZ agent over here, and then it's going to download stuffs for us. So I'm just going to hit enter, and you can see that it is currently downloading things for us, the agent zip for us, and then it's going to start installing that. So basically it's going to make a connectivity with our server. What it asks, then it will start creating things for us, and you can also see that it's up and running once it is completely downloaded and installed. So now it is asking me to enter the deployment group tag once the installation is done. So I'm basically gonna just hit enter. I'm not gonna be having any agent tags because I have a very small system as of now, and I'm just gonna run that in the NT authority system privilege. So I'm just gonna hit enter again. And you can see that the installation is successfully done. And if you go to the deployment group this time, you can see that we now have a deployment group here, the Udemy deployment group. And once you go here, you get my machine, this guy, and hopefully this has been connected. Yep, now it is online. You can see that the green symbol coming in here, which means that it's been up and running. You can also add tag by now if you want, and then you can start working with it. So this is how you can do that. And again, as I said before, you can also share the deployment group among different projects. For instance, if you want to share this particular deployment group to other projects, something like an EA employee app or exit automation or the process-oriented project, you can do so as well. So once you do that, it will become a shared deployment group, as you saw over here in the another deployment group, which is currently in offline. and there will be like a shared tag here. I think the UI is a little crazy. Maybe it's because of the browser, but yes, this is how the shared deployment group is going to look like. All right. So once we have this guy right now, we can then start using the deployment group within our release pipeline, and we'll see how things work.